Is that a wrap?
All done.
Right, Steve, I'm going to flip things here now. What? I'm going to interview you a bit.
Oh, right. Okay.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah, well, no.
You've been firing questions at me. Listen, you're ex-military yourself. Let's talk through that. What age did you join the military and what regiment were you in?
Well, I didn't want to join the military as a 16-year-old like yourself. I wanted to experience civil life first so that when I eventually got out of the military, the transition would be easy for me. And so both parents of mine were in the military, and it was always my intention to do it at some point. So for me, I really wanted to join when I was 21, and 21 was the time for me. I didn't know what I wanted to be. When I was young, I wanted to be a pilot, but I'm colourblind. I didn't have the academic qualities to be a pilot at the time.
Yeah.
And so for me, I really went into the careers office in Slough. And
Slough.
Yeah, and spoke to an RSM there, and he gave me a few pamphlets and said, what did I want to be? And I said, well, I want to travel the world. That was really what I wanted to do. Okay. And he showed me a pamphlet of the Army Air Corps, and they were all around the world. And I said, that's for me. The Blueberry, the Screaming Eagle. I thought it sounded very airborne-ish. Yeah. So the Army Air Corps was what I did when I was 21.
So you thought you'd travel the world. Did you realise you're going to travel the world cleaning it up?
Yeah, a lot of people say that you're a chopper washer in the Army Air Corps, or you often get called as a smurf. But no, in actual fact, I was ground crew, and the people who actually did wash the choppers were the actual air technicians, to be honest.
And how long did you spend in the military?
Well, I joined in April 1990. I remember it because that was when poll tax came in.
1990?
1990.
I was 10 years old.
10 years old. Well, I was 21, and so I joined in 1990, went to Middle Wallop pretty much straight away and did my trade training. But halfway through the trade training, the first Gulf War came about in August. And I'd wanted to go to a unit in Germany. I'd always wanted to go to Germany at that point, and put that in for my posting choices. And then I was lucky enough to go to 4 Regiment Army Air Corps in September of that year, and didn't specifically think that I would ever go on tour. And sure enough, a few months later, we were selected to go on the advance party, and I ended up, going to the first Gulf War in 1990.
Ah, so you got a couple of medals on your chest then?
Well, not quite as many as you, I'm sure, and a very different type of warfare in 1990 as it was today. It was a very, very short period of the war. But what I wanted to do, I wanted to join up. I wanted to, go out and see action, although it wasn't really the action I expected. And I'm grateful for, not really seeing some of the bad sights that we have seen since in Gulf War II in Afghanistan. In the end, for me, 5 years was what I did, and I was very, very happy in the end to get out. But certainly learned a lot in the military and got taught a few lessons when I was a bit of a gobby sprog when I was a young lad. Yeah.
That's why I wanted to fire these questions at you. You're a very humble guy. You've served in the military. You've done your time, and you are still serving the military now in what you do. That's why I'm fascinated about that transition of you coming from a military family background, joining the military, and still sort of being in that family now, even though you're a successful businessman. How did that transition happen of you getting out and thinking, do you know what, I still really want to serve the people of the military and the veterans that deserve everything, or the stuff when they get out?
It wasn't a conscious decision. When I was a child, I'd always wanted to have my own business, but I really didn't have the business nonce to actually do that. And when I got back from Gulf War I bought a car. I got ripped off, to be honest, and I wasn't very pleased with that.
We all do. We all do.
And it stayed in my mind. So when I got out in Germany in '95, I stayed in Germany, and I loved it. I loved the country. I loved the people. It was fantastic. And it was only 3 years later when I had an opportunity to get involved in car sales, and I sold a car my very first day working for a company, and I absolutely loved it. And I didn't sell for the next 30 days a single car, but I had the bug about giving something back, and someone could save a little bit of money on that. And that was really, I think I really found where I was. I was about 29 at that point. And then I met someone new, Sharon, who you've met, and wanted to come back to the UK and leave the job that I had. And my old boss had asked me to come to Frankfurt to have a bit of a send-off, and asked me what I was going to do. And I said, well, I'm going to, work for a car dealership or something like that. And he'd always had the idea of setting up a business in the UK, but didn't have anyone to do it with. I'd always had the idea of doing a business, but didn't know how. So it was a real perfect...
Great partnership.
Great partnership, yeah. And, for us, opportunities don't come along often. And I've always been the sort of person that would always look at something and really give it a chance. I got divorced as well when I was in Germany, and it was a very low point in my life. And changing job to be a car salesman, and then meeting someone new, and then having that ability to an opportunity to set up a business, I looked at it really practically, and that if it didn't work, then I'd just go and work in a dealership. So it gave me the opportunity to at least try something new, and it was all new. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how to do invoicing, didn't know how to do marketing. I didn't know how to do, advertising. I really didn't know anything. And I had to learn from that on my own pretty quickly.
Wow. Well, there's no looking back, especially with Forces Cars Direct now that you run and that you own. Talk to me about Forces Cars Direct. I know about Forces Cars Direct, and the reason why I wanted to be ambassador is because stuff that you still do for serving military personnel and for veterans is amazing. And if I can project that message out there, if I would have known about it when I was serving, I certainly would have jumped on board. And it's talk to us about Forces Cars Direct and what you give back.
Well, Forces Cars Direct, we're not the first to ever sell cars to people. That's absolutely true. Everyone's been doing that for years. But we wanted to do something that was better. We wanted to save more, work directly with the manufacturers and give something back, and really get the manufacturers to come on board and support our troops. Yeah. And so we were the pioneers in bringing military tax-free to the internet, so to speak, instead of having showrooms on the ground in Germany. And we have expanded that over the time in order to give military serving in the UK that never had the opportunity to do that. And then again, a few years later, we expanded that to the retired military community. And the awareness is something that we really wanted to try and grow, because not everyone who served 20, 30 years ago is still aware of that. So that's our biggest challenge, is getting that across and to try and save as much as we can. To date, I think we've saved nearly £95 million in savings to all of our customers, which is mind-blowing to think. When I started, I got ripped off buying a car, and to give all of that back, it's brilliant. It's that they can spend money on other things. But we partner with SAFA as well as a military charity, so it's not just about saving money on a car. It's about giving back to that military community. With Scotty's Little Soldiers and SAFA, we're both obviously involved with, and really doing more than just selling a car.
It's amazing, because that's exactly what I see, especially being the ambassador for Forces Cars Direct and getting the message out. People are like baffled that actually this exists, and there are people like yourself that are giving something back. You're going above and beyond what you need to do, really. And I just want to say, I'm very proud as an ambassador to be sat here with you, and keep doing what you're doing.
Well, thanks very much. You caught me on the hop there, but thanks anyway. That's brilliant to know, and we'll do more. And thanks for your help over the past few years as well.
Listen, you talk about your partnership when you first got together. This is a great partnership, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.